so very excited to bring back the great sport of biathlon to Off the Podium that I was just working out that we have had so few athletes from this sport on this show. Only 2 previous biathletes ever in the history of Off the Podium, and none from our own country of Australia. I don't know how this is possible. I'm fixing that today by speaking with Australia's #1 ranked female biathlete heading into the Milano Cortina Olympic Games. She's doing some great results out there on the world stage. Youth Olympian, and I want to say this, a representative of Australia in 3 different sports, which I'm fascinated to learn about how they work side by side with biathlon. It's a pleasure to welcome Off the Podium, Darcie Morton. Darcie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I am thrilled to have you, Darcie, because I was just talking to you a bit off air about our history, lack of history, I should say, with biathletes on this show. It's a great sport, and we recently covered it on a newscast where your name came up. We had Raphael talk about how much biathlon's loved in Germany and Europe, and here I am trying to find Australian biathletes to talk about, and your name came up because you've got a family history in this sport, Darcie. Let's get this over and done with. Your dad's an Olympian. He's competed back in 2006, and this is like a family business for you, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And that's how I got into the sport. And now he's here on tour with me doing the ski testing on World Cup. And my brother's the coach. And actually, I'm just with my little sister here now for Christmas. So she's on, it's called IBU Junior Cup, which is like the junior level of the world stage. And she'll be doing World Juniors as well. And yeah, so it's definitely a family affair.
Now, we're touching that your dad, Cameron, competed in Turin. So I feel like this is almost meant to be. We're trying to find all these parallels with the 20th anniversary of an Italian Olympics. So we're going into 2026, 20 years since your dad competed at the Olympics in Italy. I mean, I'm just saying the stars are aligning here, Darcie, for your Olympic debut, right? It's meant to be.
Yeah, I really hope so. And I mean, it's like such a tough qualification criteria. So I'm putting my all into it, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I didn't even connect the dots that it was also Torino. That was so silly of me. But yeah, Dad also raced there, and I've raced there a lot on World Cup as well. So and did a camp there in October. So it would be really, really cool if it all aligns.
Not to age you, but if I'm doing my math correctly, you were about, 5, 6 when your dad competed?
Yeah.
Do you remember sort of him going on? I mean, did you go to Italy with him to watch him compete at that age?
I didn't go there, but I remember making a sign for him returning. And yeah, but no, I wasn't actually able to be there, but I was on tour a lot before that. So I was actually met one of the Greenlandic girls, which I'm competing against, and who's like one of my best friends on tour. And her parents also race with my dad. So we're kind of 2 families from very small nations in biathlon, Greenland and Australia. And so they met from juniors as well. And that's kind of cool that it all fits in together.
I love these legacies, and I love these kind of connections there. And I love giving Channel 9 free material so that, in a couple of months, they're going to be, easily able to research this and get that there. Sort of before, obviously we're talking about the family business and getting involved in the sport. I wanted to touch on where you're from, Marlow in Victoria. Now, I had to look this town up. For people who aren't familiar with this, it's about 4.5 hours away from Melbourne in the Gippsland area near the Snowy River. It's got a population of about 600, and it's the home of Molly Meldrum. Is this what the town is most known for? I mean, tell me about Marlow, Victoria, because I always love hearing about these places that maybe not a lot of people maybe have heard of before.
Yeah, I mean, I moved there when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was overseas a lot, but it's really home. Like, it's right on the coast, Far East Gippsland. Not many people at all, like you said. I think when I moved there, it was like 200 people or something. So the population has grown a little
population
bit.
Boom.
I went to primary school there, went to high school in Orbost, secondary college, and then distance ed later on as well. But it's always great to go back there, and it's actually a really good training environment if you because you can roller ski on the roads and bike ride, mountain bike, and road bike and kayak and run. And so for biathlon in the off season, we just have to do all these endurance sports. So it's just kind of perfect. And then it's only around 2.5 hours to the snow in Hotham. So it's not too far away either. And yeah.
Good little base to kind of go there. Because I touched on the fact that you've represented Australia in 3 sports now, other being cross country in the snow side of things. But the one before we get back to sort of the skiing side of things, table tennis, Darcie. I don't see a correlation here between biathlon, cross country skiing, and table tennis. Let's just take a tangent and talk about that. Where did that come about, and how far did you go? Because you went pretty far with table tennis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's kind of like a random little snippet of my life, I guess, because my dad is good at a lot of sports as well. So he practically got me into, running, kayaking, table tennis, and I started at Orbost and just doing it for fun, and then I found I was kind of good at it and was going to Melbourne every week as it was when I was 8 to 15 years old. So I would skip Friday of school, go up to Melbourne, train the weekend, and then come back. And yeah, I ended up representing Australia for most of that time, and then also Oceania when I was, I can't even remember now, around 14, 15. And I did the World Cadet Challenge, which is, I think when you're around 15, it's just you represent kind of your continent so I represented Oceania, and I was the Australian woman representative there. And that was in Slovenia. So it was like, wow. It was just, I kind of competed overseas a little bit and nationally a lot in all the different states. And it made like many, many friends there. And it was kind of at 15, 16, the Youth Olympics was coming up and I had to decide which sport, because I was doing skiing and biathlon on the side of that. So I was always kind of training, because my brother was also in biathlon at the time and my dad is always training. So I was always just, riding the bike while they ran or roller skiing while they were running or something like that. So I was keeping quite fit at the time anyway, and always doing biathlon in the winter. So I kind of had to decide, do I want to go with a family sport, or do I want to take the next step in table tennis and go to the Youth Olympics there and kind of make another step there with it. So it was quite a tough decision in my life at 16. And then I liked to be more outdoors. I liked to be in nature, and it was a family sport as well. So it was easier than, doing it on my own kind of thing, and more financially secure a little bit with the biathlon. So I went biathlon side and, ended up getting 16th at Youth Olympics and World Junior Champs at the time. So I had one of my best years as a junior that year as well. But yeah, it seems like a little bit of another life, the table tennis, but it's a good party trick to have at uni and stuff like that. So yeah, you always keep those skills that you have as a child. So yeah.
I was going to say, just all of a sudden you're in a rec room and there's a table tennis table and all of a sudden, hey, you want to have a go? I'm like, all right, sure,
I still keep my table tennis bat with me in the car just in case.
Just in case. You never know. Which, I mean, obviously, given what your dad achieved, I can imagine growing up, was the goal always in Olympics for you, be it table tennis or biathlon / cross-country skiing? Was that sort of, as a young girl, something you always were aspiring towards?
As a kid, probably not so much. It was more World Cup was my main goal, just because sometimes Olympics is just another race, but World Cup, it's a world stage that you have each year. But the last few years, it has really become the main goal and my main focus and what I'm putting everything towards. So I think as it became more realistic that I could make it, it's become more of my main goals. Whereas before I'm I'm not sure if I could make it. And it's kind of my dad was just at the next level that I couldn't really get there. But I got some quite good results the last 2 years, and it became more aware that I could, potentially get there. So
in terms of that progression when you're doing biathlon as a kid, because the correlations I see a lot similar with cross-country skiing. I mean, again, the naive guy here doesn't follow the sport that closely. Obviously, Darcie, please correct me any point I'm wrong, but I can imagine that cross-country skiing, you just add a shooting element to it. I'm sure there's a little bit more to it. But as a little girl, I can also imagine you're not allowed to just pick up a gun at like 5 years old and go, off you go, let's go start shooting stuff. So what point are you allowed to actually handle a gun where biathlon becomes that added element to what cross-country skiing is? Because obviously there's a little bit more to it than just skiing in the sport of biathlon.
Yeah. So you can get your shooter's license at 12 in Australia, but the Australian rules are a little bit different to the international ones. So if you're in Austria or Canada, I was doing like air rifle races at 12, and then you just don't carry your rifle. So in Australia, you can't carry your rifle until you're 18, I think now, whereas in Europe, you can carry your rifle from 15 years old in a race. So it's like a little bit different, the rules, but practically 12 is when you can start shooting. And I mean, you can shoot before that as well. Now they've got a lot of laser rifles that we get like kids into the sport. And we've been, trying to do that in Australia a bit more and going to the different schools and just letting people come and try, and trying to get people more aware of the sport and get more kids up and coming in our sport.
So when you say carrying it, is that literally carrying it in an event, carrying it to different events? So how then, if you're not able to carry it on your back in an event, is it just like waiting for you at each station essentially? Is that kind of what you have to work around?
So it's either, some of them are you have a stand just before you enter the range, and then you have to stop, pick up your rifle, put on your back, then go into the range, shoot, go out of the range, drop it off, and then ski.
Right.
Another one, when you're really little, like when you're probably under, I mean, if you're doing laser rifles, then the rifle would just be waiting on the mat for you. Or if you're like, sometimes in Austria, they also have the 22 rifle, which is a 22 caliber bullet, which is what we shoot with, and that's waiting on the mat as well for you. So it just depends where you are, the different rules, I guess.
So in terms of just junior competition in Australia, is it a case of, are there young kids growing up wanting to be biathletes, or are they all being poached from cross-country skiing? Like, sort of how does generally a young person in Australia become a biathlete?
I think they're not necessarily being poached from cross-country, although maybe the cross-country athletes will say something different. But a lot of them come through from interschools, actually. So I think that's a really good developmental pathway for kids at the moment, because they kind of just do the race for fun, and you get points for your school in interschools. And then kids go, oh, this is really cool, and we get to train for this like events for like the winter and stuff like that. And then they go through that pathway. I didn't go through that personally, because I had my family, which is like another different strategy, I guess, to go through. But I think that is the main way people get exposed to the sport at the moment.
So I always love speaking, particularly Australian winter athletes, these different skiing pathways, right? And I always see, at some point you're going to try your alpine, your freestyle, your Nordic disciplines, right? And I always seem to find that the freestyle skiers are generally coming mainly from a ski racing alpine background or alpine background, right? That's sort of where they're going from. And then the Nordic skiers are kind of in their own little world and kind of doing it that way, like, kind of there. I just love this kind of like almost like little rivalries between the different skiing disciplines. Because again, dumb naive Ben, who watches Winter Olympics every 4 years, ago, skiing, you put some planks on your feet, it's all kind of the same. But obviously, the downhill is very different to the 7.5 kilometer sprint and biathlon. So obviously, very different things. So are there like sort of internal rivalries between all the skiing disciplines, or all deep down are you kind of all rooting for each other, particularly in Australia, where obviously we've all, in a way, got to work together in these sports?
I don't think for alpine and like cross country and biathlon, I think where I personally don't know really anything about alpine skiing. So, and I don't think they really know much about us either. So like when I was at Youth Olympics, we were like, that was really cool to chat to them about what their training's like. And so cross country is with FIS, which is it with all the other Nordic kind of sports, but biathlon is kind of with IBU, which is a totally different federation and structure. So, I mean, there is definitely rival between biathlon and cross country. And I think cross country skiers just think we're shit, or like people that do biathlon is just like not as fast, which is not true at all. And I could have a whole debate about this, but we're going to skip over it. But
found a future episode to do, I think. Maybe I'll do a debate side in the future. Cross country versus biathlon. That's fun.
I'm so bad at debating, so I probably would lose. But no, there's a really cool podcast for Serious Problems. I'm going to quote them here, but they talk to some biathletes as well. And there's actually a biathlete from Norway, Ina Hedegaard, who is winning all the cross-country, not all, but a lot of the cross-country World Cup skate, 10-kilometer skate races. So that's kind of cool to be represented. Go, athletes are not actually shit.
Wow.
So
I like that. There you go.
Yeah. So there's a little rivalry there, but I don't think for the Alpine nations, there's not so much.
I just get my dumb, naive skiing questions out of the way. The way I see that, like, again, like all jokes aside about, not following it, is that you look at, say, the sliding sports, for example. So I would assume that luge, skeleton, and bobsled are all under the same banner. But obviously bobsled and skeleton are under the same federation, and luge has its own separate federation. So that's kind of, I guess, similar to how biathlon, as you're saying, has its own separate federation compared to the others. So I find it very fascinating because you would think that just for somebody who doesn't follow the sport that, oh yeah, that's just cross-country skiing with a gun. But obviously that's the quickest way to offend a biathlete and probably have you hang up on me if I keep saying that right.
No, okay. No, I mean, our distances for the races are really different. I think the way we train, because we have two disciplines instead of one, so we have to put a lot of time. We have to almost train more because we have to put so much time into the shooting, and then we have to put just as much time into the endurance side, and we have to ski with a rifle, which is kind of changes the technique a little bit as well. It's like skiing with a weight vest or something, which is around like minimum 3.5 kilograms. So, I mean, I personally, after training for a little bit in cross country as a junior, and then kind of seeing that you can't train for both and be able to compete at a high level for both because they're just so different, the sports. Like, you have to be able to do classic and skate in cross country, and you only do skate in biathlon, and then you do these really, really short events for this sprints in cross country, whereas our sprint is 7.5K, which is not really a sprint. It's like biathlon is more endurance, where you do like one 2.5K loop, and then you get a little break with shooting, I guess. But the shooting is so fast now because it's so competitive with the shooting time. So you're not just, lying there. You want to get on and off as quick as you can. And then, so it's kind of like 3 sprints that we're doing. And then the last, and it's kind of more pace than cross country, whereas cross country, you're just going all out. And our last loop is more the all out loop. But I mean, yeah. That's a very rough overview of it, I think. So obviously there's more details.
We like that, Darcie, because it's sort of, I feel, not only for myself, but some of our listeners obviously probably, are not familiar with the sport. Sort of it does help. And I always just love hearing the word sprint in biathlon, cross-country skiing, because I'm sure Gout's not, going out there going like, I do 100 meters, that's a sprint to me. 7.5K is for him. Not exactly a sprint. Just in terms of the balance, I think it always fascinates me about biathlon, as you touch on there. Obviously, you've got a pretty important element of the shooting aspect of it. And it's so important, right, when you do shoot, to be able to sort of calm yourself down and, you've been out there skiing and physically demanding sport, to then obviously have to take a pause and shoot. Like, what training can you do to, I guess, slow the heart rate down, calm yourself down? Because I can imagine that adrenaline that's pumping through you to all of a sudden suddenly have to stop and shoot. Like, there's very few sports in the world where you have to go from such a high to such a sort of a calm level at that point.
Yeah. And at this stage, the shooting has gotten so fast, and like also the skiing, that you're not really slowing your heart rate down. You're not even really, you come into the range a little bit slower and you take the pace off, but you're really not wanting to lose time at all. So you're seeing in the last World Cup that the difference between first and like 5th or something like that is with like, you're losing maybe 5 seconds in the range every shooting. So the faster you can get in and out of the shooting range, the more like the better it is. Like, so what I'm trying to say is that you're not, it's kind of changed from, I mean, maybe a couple decades ago, don't quote me on this, but it's,
back in your dad's time.
You're trying to, practically. It was a lot slower. The shooting was a lot slower, and you can take the time to get your heart rate down, but now people aren't doing that. They're just going in and out, and it's so fast. Like, it's, sub 20 second, maybe not 20 seconds, 22 seconds, 24 kind of things, averaging. You're the best in the world aren't going over like, 30 seconds for shooting.
Quick. Wow.
And that's like hitting the mat and off the mat. So, I mean, I'm not that fast, but like the best in the world, they're not slowing down the heart rate. They're like learning how to shoot with a high heart rate.
It's fascinating, because I asked that because, when we get target-based athletes from the Summer Olympics on, be it archery or shooting, and obviously the elements they're talking about, that, again, much different. They're coming from a standing start. They don't have to do a physical element before that. But does that mean that when you're training, Darcie, that if, you're training on the range, do you always, like, I guess the way I word this, you're never just standing still. You always have to try and do your skiing before. And is it valuable for you to just go to a range and just shoot without skiing beforehand?
Actually, yes. So it depends on the time of the year. So in the off season around, so we'll have our break around like usually April, and then May, June kind of thing. You're doing a lot of what's called basic shooting. So you're shooting without pulse. So that's getting really accurate, and like it's kind of like quantity and shooting, and just being able to, be so accurate with no pulse. Because I guess if you think about it, if you can't shoot with no pulse, you're not going to be able to shoot with pulse. So you've got to it's kind of the time to get your position good, make any changes with your rifle, get your like rhythms and the breathing and everything else sorted, and then you go into the intensity and increasing the intensity and shooting with intensity. So yes, it is really important to do that basic shooting. And I think as an Australian athlete, that's the difficult part, because I'm going from winter to winter. So I don't often have that summer break where, in Norway, they can just be on the range all day because it's sunny all day in summer, whereas we have very little light in our winter, and it's still cold outside. And because our only range is at Hotham, which is in the snow. So when we're there during the winter, it's cold and rainy and windy and everything, and it's really difficult to do that like quantity shooting where you just do basic shooting. So I actually stayed in Norway for this whole year, and it was pretty game changing, I think, to get that basic shooting and train with a Norwegian team and see why they're the best in the world, because they just have such amazing facilities, coaches, programs. They just like the research. They have universities in Lillehammer that are researching training specifically for biathlon and cross country, which I don't think you can say any other country is doing at the moment.
That's insane.
And I was part of one of the research projects. So where you're like on treadmills, and they're, changing the speeds and the lactates and doing specific intervals that will help increase your VO2 max kind of thing. So it's different world.
We're scared of the Norwegians on this show just because they're, obviously very good in winter sports and recently becoming very good at summer sports. So it's sort of they got their shit together in Norway. I mean, speaking of Norway, you touched on it before, 2016 Youth Olympics in Lillehammer. Before we touch on the results, just going there and sort of experiencing a multi-sport event, it's obviously rare for some sports where you get to do that outside of, your World Cups and your World Championships. As you said, you're not bumping, shoulders with, alpine skiers that quite often. So, I mean, what was that overall experience of kind of going to a Youth Olympics like, and sort of whetting the appetite a little bit for, I guess, the regular Olympics? We never know what to call it compared to the Youth Olympics.
I think it was really cool. Like, it was more because we were all quite young, like 16, 17, 18 years old. Like, it was more of a cultural event, and they had lots of activities, and yeah, you were there for your sport and to compete, but you were also there to be exposed to all the other disciplines and sports, and it was just like such a cool event. Honestly, it was really cold as well, but mostly it was like pretty cool to just be, in an Australian team, and yeah, just discuss what everyone does. I love discussing training, so discussing what other people do for training, and yeah, watching all the other sports. Like watching ice hockey is like fucking cool. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite. No disrespect to you and biathlon, but that's my sport. I love my.
I can see why. It's really fun, actually.
Do love my ice hockey. 16th in the sprint at the Youth Olympics and 26th in the pursuit, which, if I'm not mistaken, top half on both of them. So that's pretty good. I mean, do you go into those sort of do you put a goal in mind? Like you want to be a certain thing, or because it's sort of like one of your first big international events in biathlon, it's sort of let's see where I'm at and kind of go from there?
Yeah, it was so long ago, but what can I remember? That I had just done World Juniors before that, and I'd got 16th there, and Youth Olympics was a much smaller field because it wasn't as many people were able to qualify, because it's like you have to be a specific year, and like there's a year that cuts out that you can't go at all. And so it would have been like I was kind of aiming maybe for like a top 20, top 15, 10 result. So yeah, I think I can't exactly remember my goal there.
I'm really stretching it. I'm really stretching the memory.
I can't really remember, but I was in good form then, and it was like good shooting. So I was very, very happy with my race. And I think I was one of the first starters as well, like a very early bib number. So I finished around like 5th or something. And then I was like, oh my God. And then more people came and finished. But yeah, it was really fun.
What was the vibe like in terms of like things like village life? Was there much pin trading? Kind of, you talk about sort of talking about training with other people, but I mean, you're making friends with the ice hockey players and things like that.
Yeah, I got a lot of pins there. I was pretty good at trading them. And there was like lots of different activities that you could do to win like prizes. And I think I did all of them and won all the prizes or something. So I was, there was a lot of different things to do to make you more social things. So, and it was only me and one other boy in biathlon. So we kind of had to talk to other people in the Australian team, and that was cool. It made us, be more social.
I did see that. I mean, it's still online, sort of on the Australian Olympic team's YouTube channel. Sort of some of the social media stuff that they were doing back then. Little interviews with you and things like that. I mean, do those little moments help you though, Darcie? Because it's a sport that's not covered much in Australia. You're probably getting interviewed all the time for like Norwegian TV, stuff like that. But like the Australian coverage is always different, and we always look at things differently as I'm asking you different questions than if you were on a proper biathlon podcast. But like, how do you find that level when all of a sudden you've got the ABC, Channel 9 calling you up, and do things like the Youth Olympics prepare you for this different style of questioning that us naive Australians who know nothing about biathlon are going to be asking you about?
Yeah, I definitely think it helped. And I mean, I've had more interviews from after that, but I think that was actually the first time I was like interviewed for anything. And so I was pretty shit at being interviewed at the start when I was 16. So I think I've gotten a little bit better, but I think it was definitely good to see what it's going to be like, because they kind of, you have to do little clips and stuff of yourself before that, and which you don't usually do, I guess, on World Cup. And the Australian media kind of talk you through it and everything. So yeah, they're very supportive, but it was a pretty different experience. So, and yeah, good.
I just always find it, particularly with the winter athletes from Australia, because it is that case of, unfortunately the coverage isn't there for 3 years and 3/4 of a cycle, basically. It's only sort of really about now that you sort of are starting to get that interest. I mean, can your dad sort of almost help you with what to expect? Because, again, it's sort of a level I can imagine that back then it would have been Channel 7 for him. and given that biathletes generally from Australia, it's generally such a small, contingent of the team that the attention level's different. But can he give you advice on sort of how to handle what you can expect? We're going to say can, because we know you're going to be there in a couple of months, for the Olympics.
He probably could. He hasn't given me so much insight. Maybe I should ask him a little bit more. I think we're more focused on the races at the moment and just getting there. But I think he definitely could, although it's probably a little bit different now to how it was. Like there's probably many more media coverage avenues that they do compared to his time. But yeah, I might ask him that after this then.
Christmas dinner, Dad, pass the turkey.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, what's those stupid journalists like when they ask you questions sort of in the lead up to the Olympics? After the Youth Olympics, so sort of between sort of then and now, so you make your senior debut the following season. You go to the European Championships in 2018. You make your World Cup debut in 2021, World Championships in 2023. Just obviously a bit to cover there, but just in terms of that progression after the Youth Olympics and sort of there, I mean, where were you tracking in terms of, like, was 2018 Olympics realistic? Was 2022 Olympics sort of, as you said earlier about these goals that sort of came to you about making the Olympics, do you set yourself a target 2018, 2022, or has it always been 2026 basically with that progression?
Yeah, I think 2022 was in my sights as well. But I unfortunately got injured in 2021 and I had surgery and then I was out for a big period, and I went through a lot of sickness in and out from when I was 18 to about the 2022. So I had like chronic sinusitis and I got sick a lot after intensities and had to try and manage that. And I was also kind of doing cross country a little bit in 18, 19 years old. So I kind of had to just stop doing two sports and do one. But I don't think I thought I was good enough at that point and wasn't getting the results at that point when I was 18 because I was just so sick all the time, which is kind of the difficult thing about being in a winter sport as well, I guess. And 2022 was a little bit different as well because it was in China, in Beijing, the Chinese automatically got four spots. So there's 10 wild cards, 12, I think. And 12. And there was only 8 then. So it's a bit easier to qualify this year. And then also Russia and Belarus were in there too. And Russia is not. And well, we think they're not. Don't quote me on that either. But at the moment they're IBU has like put their foot down and said no. But so because of that, so I don't know if you know how the qualification works, that the top 20 nations.
I've done a bit of research. I was going to get you to clarify, but please continue.
Yeah,
yep.
So the top 20 nations get automatic quota points, so quota spots. So they get 4 to 6 people, or I think it's usually 4, and then every other nation not in the top 20 has to have these 10 wild card spots. So this year there are 12, I think. Maybe there are 10. I think there's 12. And anyway, there can only be 2 people from each nation in the men's and women's in these wildcard spots. But then you're just ranked off your IBUQ points. So these points are what you get. And the way they calculate is really different, but it's practically from your races in World Cup or IBU Cup. So and they change. So I'm not going to know if I've qualified until practically the last race, which is in Ruhpolding, which is January 15th, is the last race. Wow. So it's quite late also to know. So technically it's open for, the first 3 ranked people, they're practically set, but the other spots are open.
But you're right now, to date this, we're recording this literally in December, a couple of days before Christmas. People are going to hear this obviously a little bit after that, but as of this second, Darcie, you are in based on the spots as of right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I was at the start, and then I had, to be entirely honest, I had a very shit first trimester. So I had the first race and then I got sick. And then I got myself better for the next races, but I wasn't able to get lower points. So I'm now just out. So, but to be really honest, I need one good result under like 100 points to be back into it. So it is really achievable. And I think I had a really unfortunate start to the season with getting sick, and a lot of people got sick on World Cup. So it wasn't just me, but yeah, I'm in a bit of a mental state where it is going to be a fight to get there. Because I didn't have the results from this trimester. But I still have 3 more races, and I really only need one good one, and I've shown that I can do it before. So it is definitely possible. So, yeah, I'm not going to give up quite yet.
To clarify, lower scores are good in biathlon. We want...
Yes.
It's like golf.
It's weird like that. Lower points, you want lower points.
And who are we fighting with? So who are these other, of these sort of 10, 12 countries that have the quotas? Like, who are our rivals? Who do we need to keep an eye out when we're watching the biathlon?
Most of them are like my good friends, actually.
Shit all over them right now. They don't matter. But now they're your rivals, Darcie. Get into them.
Yeah, so it's like countries like Croatia, Greenland, Great Britain, China, Japan, Kazakhstan, Moldova, and yes.
All right, good to know.
These kind of countries. I've probably missed a few. Romania.
I hear Britain straight away on my Ashes. Well, we just beat him in that, so that goes out. But I mean, all jokes aside, that obviously does make it challenging because, as you say, these are your friends. You're obviously bonding together because you are from these countries that aren't the Germanys, the Norways, the Swedens, stuff like that. So it does add that extra layer, doesn't it, of like, well, I want to be there. I want to reach my dreams of the Olympics, but at the same time, like, I want to be there with my friends, So I guess it kind of does make it a bit challenging.
Yeah. Oh, the one I forgot was Brazil as well.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the really cool thing about biathlon, because we are a small winter sport, and we, even the top athletes, they're quite good friends, most of them, I think. But I think it's really cool because we do support each other, even if we've had a good race or a bad race. And I want the best for them as well. But in the end, it is an individual sport, and I'm going to, fight my hardest as well. But it doesn't mean I have to be bitchy to the other girls. So it's it's just sport, I think. But we're all actually pretty good friends. Yeah, the little nations stick together in these small sports.
Do you have a WhatsApp group? You just kind of send each other memes and just kind of chill sort of in between events, or?
Yeah, Instagram kind of reel sending. Yeah.
That's what you do. That's how we communicate nowadays, right? That's what we do. I like kind of hearing that. The thing that actually fascinated me, Darcie, is the fact that Australia actually hasn't had a biathlete at the Olympics since Sochi. We the last 2 Olympics in Pyeongchang and Beijing, we didn't have a biathlete. I mean, how is the state of biathlon in Australia right now? Is it going to take you getting there to kind of, put the eyes on it to try and hopefully get it? Because that surprised me. I always thought biathlon was one of those sports that we always at least have 1 or 2 athletes going no matter what.
No, I think that's kind of cross country. So the qualification is a lot easier in cross country for the smaller nations, and in biathlon, it's really it's more pushed towards the bigger nations, and the smaller nations don't have it's quite hard to get any spots there. So yeah, we didn't have any representatives for the whole southern hemisphere for biathlon, except for one guy, Campbell from New Zealand, who now races for America, but USA, sorry. And but yeah, so it's quite a high level and very competitive in biathlon to get to the Olympics and being on World Cup.
The one the little side note that I love, that I'm a nut for Australian Winter Olympic history, and obviously, celebrate all winter athletes from Australia. I think making it to Winter Olympics from this country should be celebrated. Doesn't matter where you finish, but I guarantee if you went to pub trivia and you were to say to people, all right, medals aside from our history in Australian Winter Olympics, give me the sports that Australia have finished in the top 10 at the Winter Olympics. I guarantee you no Australians would say biathlon, because the great Karen Rim finished 8th.
Karen Rim is
8th.
Pretty amazing.
In 1994. Yeah. Now, this is she just like the icon of biathlon in Australia? Because that blew my mind that we've got a top 10 at the Winter Olympics in biathlon. Yeah.
she's a really good friend of my dad's as well, and he's always talking her up. So no, I know Karen, and she's pretty cool. Yeah,
That's
so
good.
I'm not sure if many people know about her result, but
Yeah.
it's really incredible.
That
So
is.
I
I
think
mean, I
more
see
people
that.
should know about it.
You think of
Yeah.
like, obviously our history and, you think Australia Winter Olympics, you're thinking freestyle skiing, you think of snowboarding, even Bradbury, obviously with short track speed skating. But it just blows my mind to think that we've had a top 10 at the
Yeah.
Olympics in biathlon. So, I mean, does that then at least give you look at that and go, okay, that was a while ago. That was 30 years before you were born, obviously. But like, does that give you look at that hope that, I mean, this is achievable. Australia are capable of doing well in biathlon on the world stage.
Yes and no. I think like the sport has just developed so much and gotten like to such a high level at the moment. Like for example, in the last World Cup in Hockvilsen, and in France, there were 16 girls on the sprint that shot 0-0, so they didn't miss any shots. And that's like the shooting level has just gotten my point is the shooting level has gotten so high. And so one of my friends from Moldova, who I'm actually competing against for the World Cups, she's like, usually with a 0-0 she could get top 10, and she was still 16th, which is still very, very good result for World Cup. But it just shows how high the level is now. Like, you're not just shooting clean, but you just have to like compete with the shooting times and the skiing and like the skis and the waxing. And so it's just it's really developed in the last years. And I mean, I think Campbell Wright has really shown that, yeah, it's possible, like if you're next level like him, because he's New Zealand born and raised. But I think it's really tough as well because he couldn't also do it alone. He went to USA and stuff and has been really well supported by that team. And he was already getting quite good results before that, of course. But he's told me that it's you need a team around you, and it's tough when you don't have that team. So
at least by him doing well, though, that he's going to be wearing the stars and stripes, and we don't have to put up with New Zealand, shitting all over us in biathlon, right? Like, it doesn't count if he's wearing. Only counts if he's wearing an Australian flag.
He can't represent New Zealand, I think. But yeah, I think he had those really good results as a junior with New Zealand, and he was actually in a little bit of a team with me when I was a junior, and racing a bit with Australia. So he knows how tough it is as a small nation, and he's still so humble. So I think that's.
I mean, we like to be positive on the show, Darcie. And again, by the time people are listening to this, I probably actually will work out that we will know whether you're there or not. So this might be dated. It's not going to be dated because I know that positive signs out there. But like, what will it mean to you to get that spot should it happen? I mean, not just for yourself, but the Morton name. I mean, your family. Again, this is the family business. 20 years on from your dad going to the Olympics as well.
Yeah, I mean, it'll mean absolutely everything. Like, I've put, like, not just since I was 16, but especially the last few years, I've put everything into this sport, and financially and just like hours of my life and stuff. And I mean, every athlete does that as well. So I'm not the only one, but yeah, I mean, to compete on that top level stage is just the dream. Yeah.
And people can help that dream because you've got a Sports Foundation page out there at the moment. Tell us a little bit about this and how people can help. Because you always like to try and help out people, Darcie, along the lines, particularly sort of from these sports in Australia where maybe that you're not getting the funding that you deserve and all those sort of things. So how can people help out?
Yeah, so it's a Australian Sports Foundation page, and you can make a tax deductible donation on that page, and you can read a little bit about my pathway in the sport, and and it would be really, really great for your support to get there as well. So that's you can go donate if you want. If you don't want, don't worry.
We'll link that. We'll link that on our page.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. Yeah.
People can
Thanks.
obviously do that and check out there, because I will say also it's great for people like myself who have to, research you and try and find some good questions, and we can see sort of what you've been up to and everything as well. But before I get to some get to know yourself questions outside of that, I wanted to touch on a couple of things outside of the sport, because you have a Bachelor of Medical Science that you've created. You are an Army Officer Reservist. And the other question I want to ask you, just on your Instagram page, I'm seeing lots of pictures of dogs, and one dog in particular. Tell us about the doggos, because we always like to hear about the doggos on this show.
So that's my dog Pippa, and she's unfortunately left at home and away from me. But I think it was my last year of uni. I was volunteering at an RSPCA in Canberra, and I just was doing the dog walking, and I just fell in love with her, so I adopted her, which was probably not the smartest idea as a uni student training full time, but anyway, I did that.
What type of dog is she? What type of dog is she?
She's a Kelpie cross, I think blue heeler.
Right.
So she's very snappy, but she loves running with me and riding and traveling, and so.
Counting down the days, NTC, when was the last time you got to see Pippa, if you've been traveling so long?
I was only in Australia for 1 month, so in March.
Wow.
In April, sorry. And I haven't seen her for the last, 2 years except for that month. But so I have not been in Australia very long at all.
Well, I'm sure she's listening, and I'm sure she's ready for you to come home, basically, to see that, particularly with, some nice merch from Milan Cortina. Like, I don't know if there's special dog things you can get kind of along the way there. I had a cat called Pippa growing up. Great name. Oh. I like that. That was... See, the one question I wanted to ask you, before I get to these top 10, just I keep hearing amazing things about the venue. In Milano Cortina, is it the Anta Selva Biathlon? Now, I asked this in particular because I actually have tickets. When I bought my tickets for the Olympics, and I'm working out my map and I'm trying to work out where to go, I got a ticket to Biathlon. I'm actually going to see the 7.5K sprint, the women. So should you make it, I'll be in the crowd cheering you on there, Darcie. Okay. But tell me a bit about this venue, because I'm seeing it holds up to like 25,000 people. This seems like an absolute amazing venue.
Yeah, they've done a lot of renovations on it, actually. During the last year and a bit. So they've made the end loop where you go behind the range. So it's you can kind of, there's like a glass wall around the range, and you can kind of see the whole stadium from there. And it has like a whole new meteor kind of tower for meteor, I guess, for the Olympics. And then everyone can stand on the course as well. So you can, like, the big hill out the back, everyone just stands there. And it's one of the highest altitudes that you race in at biathlon. For biathlon and the World Cup. So it's quite a difficult shooting range because you go down, but you have to come up into the range. So you have a lot of heart rate with the altitude going in. So it's notoriously difficult to shoot well there. I mean, I've raced there at World Cups before, and the spectators are pretty cool. So
good to know. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, Raphael's warned me about be prepared for a bunch of very excitable Germans. As I'm learning, but if you see an Aussie flag in the crowd, you're there. I'll have one going there. Is it a cowbell sport? Do I need to bring a cowbell to biathlon, or is that more the? It is okay. All right. Yeah. Need to pack my cowbells
around.
Yeah. Don't know where you buy a cowbell from in Australia. I've never really gone down to my local Woolies.
You find them in Italy, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I'm hoping they've got Olympic branded ones. I'm assuming they've got to sell an Olympic branded cowbell.
Probably. Yeah, there'll probably be merch there. Yeah. So I wouldn't stress.
I mean, I'm just, the amount of merch I saw in Paris, but summer sports, you have cowbells in summer sports. So I'm just assuming that if the Milano Cortina organising committee haven't jumped on the cowbell merch train, I think
I honestly think they would have them. There's some people with like massive cowbells on their backs that just walk around, and it's just like. So you'll find.
I just want to see one of these people now, because it's like you can't have to tell that they're going to some sort of event. You don't just walk around the streets with a cowbell.
It's probably pretty heavy.
Yeah, Christopher Walker maybe. I don't know. Darcie, we wrap up every interview with a set of 10 get-to-know-you style questions. As always, these are a standard set now that we ask all of our guests on the show. And I'm going to ask you the first one, which is the one thing you never leave home without when traveling to a competition. And you're not allowed to answer skis and a gun because that's pretty obvious. You need those.
Okay. My watch.
Your watch?
I always have my watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my heart rate monitor.
Now, is this like, is it a smartwatch or is it a separate sort of?
Garmin watch.
Garmin. There you go. I actually, I started wearing a Garmin. Of all the brands, I'm like, that one seemed the best. So, it's done me well. Okay. I like that. A traditional superstition you follow before every big competition?
I guess I tighten my shoes. Maybe it's a little bit of a superstition or yeah, but now we don't have laces on our shoes. We have these the new Fisher shoes. You like tighten where you like turn it.
Oh wow!
So it's like so you can kind of turn it and check on the outside, which is kind of nice on the start line just before. Yeah, maybe that's one.
Because they're going to be like, I mean, the one time I tried skiing, Ben, don't try and big up yourself. You tried it once, you chickened out. But like the one time I did skiing, it was very like, getting the boots in and everything like that. So it's important to kind of make sure that they're fitting correctly, right?
Yeah. And I like my boots quite tight. So yeah, I do like to check them. But they're not as hard to get in as the Alpine ones. Okay. So I think they're usually pretty comfy and light.
Hence why Nordic disciplines are better. Right? That's what we're trying to say. There you go. A song that is on every one of your pre-competition playlists, no matter what.
Yeah, I've changed my pre-competition playlist. It's I got a lot of Eminem songs. I need to like be really pumped up.
Good answer.
I don't know who the artist is, but it's called Panda.
Okay, all right.
It's quite a big pump up song.
Okay, look that one up. Panda. You can't go wrong with Eminem anyway. So
Yeah, Eminem's pretty good. Yeah.
It makes me feel old to think that you probably, I mean, you would consider Eminem old school because he basically was starting when you were basically born. Yet I grew up on Eminem, and I think old school is stuff my parents listen to. But I'm old, Darcie, so that's completely fine.
I quite like the older songs too, so it's maybe I'm a bit older like that.
I get your dad on the show; he'll know what I'm talking about with Eminem. He's not old to him. The most unexpected or funny DM that you have ever gotten, besides being asked to be on this show, you're not allowed to answer
that. There was like. I'm not sure if I should say that one.
Do it. Go on. You got to say it now. Go on. We get some freaks on this question, Darcie. Don't worry. There's nothing you can do to shock us on this because there are some freaks out there.
I think it's actually it's not like it was just unexpected, I think, but it's not like a freak one. But there's a underwear brand for the Olympics for Australia, and they asked me to do like a promo for them, and I'm not comfortable doing that. So
wow.
I didn't reply, but it's actually an Olympic sponsor, so that's why I wasn't sure if I should say it.
No,
because they're comfy. I just like I don't
think
usually
I'm not going to name them, but I think I know who you're talking about. It's interesting. I do.
But they look cool.
Yeah. I mean, based on if it's who I'm thinking of, the Olympians who obviously have done promotion for it. But I mean that's an interesting one because. I guess it's kind of one of those 50-50 ones. It's like, well, promotion, free undies, fantastic, but I have to pose my undies. Yeah,
yes,
so
exactly.
Interesting. I mean, I love that question just because the diversity we get from the absolute freaks out there to that style of questions. We've discovered that people have met their future husbands and wives based on a offhanded message. Like it's, very crazy. This might be my favorite one of this one. The weirdest thing you've ever eaten at an international competition, and did you like it?
I try not to eat weird things because then they usually upset my tummy. But I'm not sure. Usually the food on World Cup it's pretty good. It's not so weird. We have pretty plain food as athletes. I think they know that we just want to have like plain pasta and like before races. So it's usually not so diverse. I'm not sure. Weirdest food. I think in where was it? Slovakia or somewhere, we had like some weird meat. It was like someone served horse to us, I'm pretty sure, at one point. But it tasted fine.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Did you try horse milk? Have you ever tried that? I know we've had the discussion of people who've tried horse milk on this show. Yeah. Apparently don't try it.
I just lived with in Norway with a Greenlandic family, friends, and like we ate reindeer tongue and reindeer heart and like whale and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm very open to trying new foods. Yeah, I don't mind at all.
It's funny, like I've known people who've like say lived in Japan and they've said they've had whale and sort of things that like we hear growing up in Australia, like, wow, that's exotic. But that when people come to Australia and they realise we eat kangaroo, like I had this conversation with somebody recently.
Yeah.
They're like, you eat kangaroo? And I'm like, yeah. So like it's just kangaroo.
I quite like kangaroo as well.
Yeah,
so. Good
eating. I'm with you. I do enjoy it. Speaking of food, your ultimate guilty pleasure meal after a big competition.
If I had it, I would like have a mango, but I don't usually have it in Europe. But guilty pleasure after a race, probably just like fresh berries, like fresh fruit. I like a persimmon or something.
Good answer. So, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I guess not that abundant in Europe, I can imagine, in winter.
No, which is why it's a guilty pleasure, because it's like if you get some blueberries, it's like kind of expensive. So
shipping it over in the snow doesn't exactly work that well. Now, I'm intrigued for this one, Dust, because I mean, again, you've competed for Australia in 3 different sports, all 3 of them Olympic sports. So I'm intrigued where this one will go. But if you could swap sports for a day with another Olympian, what event would you choose, and how do you think you'd go?
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'd have to, but if I did table tennis, I don't think I'd go very well anymore.
You never know.
And like winter or
summer? Winter, summer. You can. A lot of winter athletes want to do summer sports. Summer athletes want to do winter sports. So you can dip your toes in the summer sports if you like.
I'd kind of like kayaking, but I don't think I'd do very well in it.
Okay.
But it would just be fun to do.
Are we talking sprint or like Jess Fox, like slalom style?
No, not the whitewater one.
Like sprinting kind of. Okay.
Yeah, maybe the sprinting one, like on the flat water.
I like that you went that way instead of rowing, because it's weird that, you know, we've talked about cross-country biathlon. I always like to sort of see this unspoken rivalry between the sprint canoe kayakers and the rowers, because rowing gets all the attention and people always forget about the sprint canoe kayak. So, you know, I like that you went with that one, because I'm on board with that one too. Now, this one, we get a bit of help from ChatGPT if you can't come up with an answer. If your Olympic journey were a movie, Darcie, what would the title be and who would play you?
I don't know.
Have you ever had anybody say like a doppelganger for an actress before, that you sort of looked like anybody who could play you?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay.
No one's said it.
No one. Yeah. You're unique. So I've got the 10 sort of movies. I just whacked this into to ChatGPT pretty quickly. And they're usually pretty shit titles, let's be honest. So they've gone here with From the Coast to the Gold. I don't know if really from the coast, but, you know, okay, they'll take that. Against the Snow Giants, The Quiet Focus, Chasing Winter, that one always comes up. One Shot, One Dream. You know, it's got the biathlon shot sort of there. Learning to Belong. That's a bit offensive, that one. I think, like, come on. Like, you know, you belong. You're a biathlete. What's going on there, ChatGPT? Cold Hands, Warm Heart, Built Without a Blueprint, Breath Control, and Not Supposed to Be Here. ChatGPT is being a dick. That's what I'm saying here.
Breath Control kind of sounds okay.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Well, we usually sort of get a mock poster made up. I haven't got that one here, but we'll do that and we'll post that up on our thing there. But I don't know, like, in terms of, like, do you have a favourite actress you'd like to see play? Like, you know, who's somebody you'd be like, oh, yeah, they can play me. That'd be awesome.
I have a favourite actress, but I don't, like, know if they don't really look like me. I don't know who kind of looks like me though. Oh, maybe Jenna Ortega or someone. Well, I'm not like.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's got shorter, dark hair.
They can put. I mean, Tom Cruise plays tall people all the time, right? So they're actors. They're meant to play different people. So there you go. Breast control. All right, we'll get that one. We'll work that one out then. Two more for you, Darcie. What's the one question you're tired of being asked, and what is the one that you wish people would ask you instead?
Do we have to shoot while we're moving? Like,
I didn't ask that one. Yes. All right, good.
Like, how do you, I don't know. Do we shoot other people on the track or something? Or, I don't know.
Not quite that one. Is there one that you wish people would ask you instead? I mean, you said you love talking about like training. Like, is there something on the train? Like, I don't know, anything that you wish people would talk to you about more?
Yeah, maybe like, the more detailed aspects of like training. I guess you have to know a bit more about biathlon for that. So it's more like how did you get into the sport? What's the sport like in Australia? Is there snow in Australia? Is like such a common question. Like, can you ski in Australia? Yes, we can.
I just want people to ask that to Norwegians. I want like people to go to Norwegians like when they're doing a summer sport. Like, oh, does it not snow in Norway? Like, I mean, where's the opposite angle of that, right? Canadian summer, like, yes, the weather happens in other countries that you're not known for, right?
I can understand why they think it doesn't, because like most of the country is desert. So it's totally understandable. It's just, it's asked a lot.
Just saying, we've won more gold medals in New Zealand and they've got more snow than us. So, just putting it out there, people who ask that question. The one my idea for like, you talk about people ask you, do you shoot while, you're actually skiing? I think like Nordic combined. I love Nordic combined, one of my favorite sports. But I think like bugger the cross country element, it should be biathlon, not cross country. And I think we need to make it like, like in modern pentathlon in the Summer Olympics at the end, it's kind of like this ongoing thing. I think they should ski jump, land, then all of a sudden have to pull a gun off their back, ski, do a ski, then shoot, like just continuous. There shouldn't be a break in the middle of it. Yeah, Nordic combined should just be non-stop, right? That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be.
Not that
be hectic.
It would be. Not that Nordic combine's not already fun. But I'm just saying, like, that shit would get TV viewers.
With that, like, such an expensive rifle. I'm scared of just falling with my rifle. And I'm not flying through the air, so I feel like...
Never tried ski jumping? Never gone off a jump before?
No, I'm a bit scared of heights.
All right, okay.
Walked to the top of the ski jump at Youth Olympics, but that's as close as I got.
It is the only winter sport that Australia has never had an athlete in. That is our only...
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We've had a Nordic combined athlete. The great Hal Nadal back in the 60s competed. So we've half had a ski jumper. But no, that is the one Winter Olympic sport that is... There's a pub trivia for you. You bring that up next time at a trivia night.
Yeah, we'll do.
You will win.
Oh, we got to get on that.
Yeah.
Come on, ski jumping.
Come on, I know, right? Ski jumping. One more to go. The last question for you, Darcie, the deep one we end on. What is one lesson you have learnt from losing that has shaped you more than winning?
It's, I think, not letting others' perception of you take hold, and like just to be yourself and to have faith in what you've done and like the work you've put in, and to believe in yourself a little bit more. I like that. That works. There's your tagline for your movie poster for breath control. I worked that. Darcie, it's an absolute honor to chat with you and hear about your story and your journey and everything, and not only just your career, but in the lead up to the Olympics and beyond. But we touched on your sports page for fundraising. Anywhere else people can follow you? Instagram, TikTok, social media. Where can people follow your journey? I only have Instagram. I'm not so good with social media. So it's darcie.morton. But throw me a follow and follow the journey. Thanks there. It's been pretty fun. Well, we like that. We hope to bring you a bit of fun. Obviously, we know that you're training very hard right now, but we will cross all those fingers, toes, and everything else in between hand, and we'll get you back on, no doubt, in the future. Hopefully, not hopefully, after your debut Olympic appearance in just a short amount of time. Thanks so much.